and heads the higher education department of the St. Legions in the province. Currently, he is the manager of the Don Bosco College. We acknowledge your esteemed presence with us here at this event. I now invite Yana to present the chief guest with a token of our love and appreciation.
Miss Daniela Colasso pursued her B.Ed at Nirmala Institute of Education, Goa. Fascinated by the art of teaching, she completed her MA in Education from Indira Gandhi National Open University. She also successfully cleared the National Eligibility Test or the NET, which is one of India's toughest entrance exams for postgraduates. Through this exam, she was able to acquire the position of Assistant Professor in Education. And presently, she is pursuing her PhD in Education while being an Assistant Professor at her alma mater, Nirmala Institute of Education, Goa. An avid reader at heart with an inquisitive mind, she has contributed her knowledge to society through articles in international and national journals, along with presenting her papers at international conferences. Ma'am, we are privileged to have you here with us today at Don Bosco. I now invite Rajasi to present Ms. Daniela with a token of our love.
To introduce our second chief guest judge. It is my privilege and honor to introduce our guest judge for today's parliamentary debate, Ms. Ashwini Naik, Assistant Professor at V.M. Sargankar College of Law. Having passed her LLB Honours and LLM in Intellectual Property Rights, she joined her alma mater as Assistant Professor of Law. Her areas of interest covers human rights and criminal laws. She was a part of a research project conducted by the British Council on the various arbitration courses conducted in India. As a faculty in charge of Human Rights Club, she has guided the students on one-act plays which were showcased at Garcia de Horta at Panaji on the theme No Discrimination. Since 2018, she is the Associate Director of Child Rights Clinic and has been an instrument in guiding the students on child-related issues. Today, we have gathered here to engage in thoughtful discourse, exchange diverse perspectives, and challenge our intellects. With minds sharpened and arguments honed, let the clash of ideas commence, fostering an environment of values, understanding, and intellectual growth. On this note, I welcome you all for the Interclass Parliamentary Debate Competition 2023.
extend my good afternoon greetings to one and all. The Parliament and state legislatures are the sacred institutions that represent the sovereignty of the people. The people's representatives discuss and take decisions on the subject of public interest at these sacred places. Therefore, meaningful and effective participation of the we request all the honorable members of the House present here to witness this August session will remain decorum and discipline to ensure a smooth flow of this entire session. Let us begin our session by keeping in mind the oath taken to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, to uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and to faithfully discharge the duty upon which we are about to enter. Let us begin our tradition of debate discussion, and so I request the Honorable Proposition Leader and the Minister for Public Grievances, Pensions and Personnel, Atomic Energy and Space Minister to kindly deliver his speech.
सबसे पहले आदरणीय सभापति और विपक्ष का मैं नमस्कार करता हूं। हर कोई ये तो जरूर मानता है कि 21वीं सदी एशिया की सदी, परंतु कुछ महीनों से सब लोग बोल रहे हैं कि 21वीं सदी भारत की सदी है। 2013 में मैंने वादा किया था कि जिस दिन भाजपा की सरकार बनेगी उस दिन पुराने सरकार के साथ भ्रष्टाचार भी भाग जाएगी। आपको याद होगा मैंने कहा था कि मैं परिश्रम करने में कोई कमी नहीं रखूंगा। 125 करोड़ देशवासियों ने जो जिम्मेवारी दी है मैं उसके लिए पल पल और शरीर का कण कण 100% काम में लगाए रखूंगा। और मैंने ये जिम्मेवारी निभाई है अपने विभिन्न पोर्टफोलियो पर काम करके। देवियों और सज्जनों, कार्मिक, लोक शिकायत और पेंशन मंत्रालय हमारे देश में प्रशासनिक सुधारणों और सुशासन के पीछे प्रेरणादायक शक्ति है। It is our responsibility to ensure the government machinery functions effectively, efficiently, and transparently. Over the years, the number of central government employees have doubled to 3.9 million, and the expenditure on pensions have tripled to 1.2 trillion rupees. In the arena of science and technology, the Parmanu Urja Vibhag has been the driving forces behind our nation's scientific strides. हमारे परमाणु ऊर्जा विभाग ने न केवल हमें स्वच्छ ऊर्जा का स्रोत उपहार में दिया है, बल्कि भारत को एडवांस न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी में एक ग्लोबल लीडर बना दिया है। Similarly, our journey into space exploration has been nothing short of remarkable, with achieving historic feats with Chandrayaan 1, 2, and just recently Chandrayaan 3, which we did in a budget of 615 crore. And who can forget our Mangalyaan mission? In 2015, I met the US President here on Earth. Today, ISRO's Chandrayaan is meeting NASA on the Moon and Mars. This is a testament to our unwavering resolve and technological advancements. इसी तरह ये विभाग सिर्फ सरकारी मंत्रालय नहीं है, वे हमारे राष्ट्र के प्रगति और विकास के स्तंभ हैं। इन पोर्टफोलियो की यात्रा वर्षों से कोई व्यक्तिगत प्रयास नहीं है, ये हमारे वैज्ञानिकों, नागरिकों आदि के ठोस समर्पण का प्रतिबिंब है। मुझे गिराकर अगर तुम इस देश को संभाल सकते हो तो आओ करके दिखाओ। मेरे परिवार वासियों, एक गरीब परिवार का बेटा आज आपके सामने खड़ा है। यही लोकतंत्र की ताकत है। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
धन्यवाद मिनिस्टर फॉर पब्लिक ग्रीवेंसेस पेंशंस। आपने भारत को एडवांस न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी में ग्लोबल लीडर बना के आपने हमको प्रगति और विकास के पथ पर आगे बढ़ाया है। धन्यवाद। आपकी मन की बात हमारे लिए एक गर्व की बात है। We now proceed and I request the Opposition Minister for Public Grievances to deliver her speech.
The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, all truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridicule. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self-evident. Honorable Chairperson, Madam, my esteemed colleagues, I stand here today on behalf of my party in the capacity of an opposition to the party that is proposing the promotion of so many lives. We are the fastest growing, most efficient global players. Everyone will have free gas cylinders, we are getting free electricity, and we are getting pakka houses. And then the government demands more funds over and above the budgeted estimate. It is on this precarious floor of eggshells that we, the opposition, are forced to work on every day. We cannot say China, we cannot say Pegasus, we cannot say BBC, we cannot say Morbi, we cannot say Raphael, and the list stretches long. Notwithstanding all these constraints, I must address the biggest ban of our country: big corruption and crony capitalism.
Please maintain order in the House.
The worthy party says that it is of the firm opinion that corruption is the biggest enemy of democracy and social justice. Therefore, there has been a relentless fight against corruption, the elimination of Bhrashtachar in the last few years. Honorable Chairperson, Madam, as a responsible public representative, as a member of this opposition to whom this House belongs, I am walking on my Kartavya path by having the courage, in spite of all of you shouting, to speak about what I am going to speak.
Madam, आप angry मत हो जाओ, आप शांत से बोलो।
The chair always asks me not to get angry, and I will not get angry for what I have to say. I will only say that we all have been fooled. I have brought this story with me now because our wonderful nation has been Toby Benau by some famous individuals. They have Toby Benau you.
शांत हो जाओ, आपको भी बोलने का मौका दिया जाएगा।
They have Toby Benau you, Madam Finance Minister. They have Toby Benau you too, Honorable Minister of Trade and Commerce. And my party members shall further elaborate on this as the session progresses. The government and the ruling party have coined the term Pappu to signify extreme incompetence. The NSO numbers recently revealed industrial output getting low, manufacturing sector having negative growth rate, and forex collapsing. Almost 2 lakh Indians have renounced their Indian citizenship since 2014. So now, this shows who the actual Pappu really is.
आप शांत हो जाओ।
Where is the Pappu? Now, everyone wants to know who is behind me. Every day, fake news brigade, the Chutney brigade floats news theories. Is it an American investment bank? Is it Ambani? Is it China? Nobody is behind me. I am behind the truth. Every word I utter is always an oblation and offering of truth into my Mahayagma of nation building. बिक गया बाजार का हर एक जूट, वो पैर तब बिक गया बाजार का हर एक जूट। और मैं एक सच को लेकर शाम तक बैठा रहा। हम तो देश के खाते ऐसे लगे ही रहेंगे। चलिए।
Thank you, madam. Are we really progressing, or are we made to believe a list of lies? This is the point seriously raised by the opposition minister. Thank you. Now we request the proposition minister for Women and Child Development to kindly propose a speech.
Honorable Speaker and my worthy opponents, today I stand before you and before the entirety of our nation as the Union Minister of Women and Child Development and of Minority Affairs. Right from 2019, when I became a member of the Lok Sabha, up until now, I have fought. मैंने आपके बच्चे के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी है, मैंने हमारी महिलाओं के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी है, मैंने हमारे देश के लोग हिंदुओं और मुसलमानों दोनों के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी है। मैंने हमारी महिलाओं की सुरक्षा के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी है, बलात्कारों को सजा दिलाने के लिए लड़ाई लड़ी है। I have fought for gender budgeting, for our women's welfare, for the initiation of programs and schemes like the Mahila Hath, and towards implementation of the POCSO Act, which aims to protect children from sexual offences and ensure the speedy trial and justice for the victims. Also making child pornography a criminal offence. I pursued permanent commission for women in the Indian Army by felicitating legal aid to women officers. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Right from your children to Amity, मैंने संघर्ष किया है और मैं संघर्ष करती रहूंगी for the protection and safety of our children to ensure their well-rounded development. I have introduced various educational reforms to upscale India's capacities in the field of research, innovation, and technology. I have opened national digital libraries and a global network of academians. And I proudly stand before you as a member who was an instrument in the implementation of the new national education policy. अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी ने कहा था, भारत कोई भूमि का टुकड़ा नहीं है, एक जीता जागता राष्ट्र पुरुष है। हम जिएंगे तो इस भारत के लिए, हम मरेंगे तो इस भारत के लिए, और मरने के बाद भी गंगा जल में भीगी हुई हमारी अस्थियों को कोई कान लगाकर सुनेगा तो एक ही आवाज आएगी, भारत माता की जय।
धन्यवाद। The proposition minister for women and child development अपने बड़े अच्छे से अपने संघर्ष और women और child development पोर्टफोलियो के जिम्मेदारियों के बारे में हमारे सामने अपना संघर्ष पेश किया। Now I request the opposition minister for women and child development to present her speech expressing her viewpoint.
Honorable Speaker and my worthy opponents today, from everything that we have just heard, there leaves so much left unspoken. Take for instance, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and it is a noble initiative. However, how can we deny that even today, India is yet entrenched in systems such as the dowry, and we are still seeing more and more girls dropping out as they age, deprived of their education. Mr. Friedman, one of the world's greatest economists, had once said, "It is the greatest mistake to judge policies and programs by their intention rather than their results." I am not here to take away from the government's intention, but the results and the outcomes is something that deeply pains me. In the sectors of jobs, I have to ask you, where is the gender equality and pay parity. According to the first ever estimates of gender inequality in global earnings, it was found that men in India capture 82% of labor income and the women earn just 18%.
आपको बोलने का मौका दिया जाएगा, आप शांत रहो, बोलिए।
Just like this, Madam Speaker, I would like to say it is shameful that India today, we have to be keeping up with the trends, with the times, and with the threats to our children, to the women, our mothers, sisters, daughters. Take the year 2021 alone. Out of the 6 million crimes that were reported, 4,28,278 involved crimes against women. And even after the crime is committed, how long do we have to wait until justice prevails? And is the punishment even partially proportional to the atrocities committed? These are the issues, these are the worries of the society today, leading to so many issues like female feticide in areas still not eradicated
आप
totally.
शांत रहो, उनको अपना स्पीच करने दो, बाद में आप बोल सकते हैं। मैडम जी, कंटिन्यू।
Speaking on behalf of the child population, within the pandemic-induced lockdown, we have witnessed a devastating 92,105 reports of child abuse, of child violence. And so I see a disparity in this government. For the honorable ministers have spoken nothing of these issues that are crippling our Bharat. I would like to conclude by reminding my worthy opponents. आम्ही राजकारण फायद्यासाठी नाही, जनतेच्या सेवेसाठी करत आहोत. जय हिंद.
थैंक यू ऑपोजिशन मिनिस्टर फॉर विमेन एंड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट। क्या हमारा संघर्ष ही काफी है? क्या संघर्ष और सेंसिटाइजेशन की भी जरूरत है? ये बात हमारे सामने रखी है। आगे बढ़ते हम अब प्रोपोजिशन मिनिस्टर फॉर हेल्थ, we request you to deliver your speech.
Speaker Madam, members of the House, हमारी सरकार ने इंडिया को मेडिकल और हेल्थ सेक्टर में एक नई युग में दे दिया. There has been more development in Indian medicine in the past 8 years than the previous 70. And this has only been made possible through the various efforts of our government, such as the construction of new medical colleges such as AIIMS Guwahati, and as well as cancer research centers. Or sirf yahi nahi, we have also built new nursing and paramedical institutes. This is to decrease the deficiency of doctors and medical workers that our country has seen due to the previous ruling government.
Wrong facts.
Madam,
Please maintain order.
we will be implementing the next exam for doctors, nurses, and medical workers to get their licenses. This exam will not be very difficult, but it will ensure that all medical practitioners in our country are being held up to the same standards. This exam will also be used as a qualifier for postgraduate and specialization programs in medicine. अमेरिका में 1% nurses भारत से ही है. We are proud to say that other countries seek to hire our Indian nurses and medical workers because of their
Honorable members, kindly maintain law and order in the House.
because of their empathetic attitudes which is inculcated in our country. There have been concerns that the common man cannot afford medicine. And we have fought hard to fight these by by first of all, in 2018, we started the Ayushman Yojana to give up to rupees 5 lakh worth of medical care to poor families. Till this day, more than 30 crore Indian families have benefited from this scheme. We also opened 9,000 Jan Aushadhi Kendras which sell medicines at a discounted and affordable rate. And we are working to pass a bill that will ensure that doctors only prescribe generic, affordable medicines. In सब कार्य हमने दर आदमी के लिए ही कर दिया। कोविड-19 पैंडेमिक ने पूरी दुनिया को हिलाया, पर इंडिया में हमने उससे हराया। Today, we are proud to say that more than 85% of the Indian population has been vaccinated against COVID-19. This is a feat which was said to be impossible on a global scale. But we have made it possible through the dedicated efforts of our medical workers and health departments. This proves once again that come hell or high water, the might of India will never falter. Dhanyavad.
आयुष्मान भारत स्वच्छ भारत यही अपनी मोह है. Thank you, Proposition Minister for Health. I now request Opposition Minister for Health to deliver his speech.
एक स्वस्थ राष्ट्र ही एक खुशहाल राष्ट्र होता है. Good morning, Madam Speaker and members of the Parliament. I rise to say that the health sector of our government hasn't upgraded over the past years. 10 years ago, as per Indian hunger statistics, 14.9% of the population was hungry. Can you guess where that number is now? Has it decreased? No, it has increased by 1.4%.
Kindly maintain order.
To a staggering 16.3%. My question, how can a functioning government allow its people to starve?
आपको बोलने का मौका दे चुके हैं.
I would also like to point out the high cost of healthcare and the poor state of our government hospitals. It is reported that 75% of healthcare expenditure comes from the pockets of middle-class households. There have also been several missions and promises put forward by the union government. For example, disease eradication, in which the union government said that Kala Azar would be eradicated by 2017. However, there are more than 1,000 plus cases per year till date of Kala Azar.
आप थोड़ा शांत हो जाए, उनको बोलने दो.
Another failed promise, the infamous Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which said that India will be an open defecation free country. Yet till date, 19% of households do not have toilets. I would also like to point out the shortcomings of our health sector during the COVID-19 pandemic, where there were several defects which could have been resolved, such as an enormous shortage of staff, lack of oxygen, and lack of beds. From a state perspective, there have also been several incidents, such as in 2014 in Chhattisgarh, a government-run sterilization camp was organized, which resulted in the death of 15 women. Women were also reported that they were forced to join this camp.
आप शांत रहो, मैडम जी, उनको बोलने दो.
As I conclude, I would like to say that all these incidents and points previously stated make us ask, क्या हमारे स्वच्छता मंत्रालय सच में स्वस्थ है? Or have our honorable ministers with their ill-mannered and managed ventures rendered our health system sick?
Thank you, धन्यवाद ऑपोजिशन हेल्थ मिनिस्टर जी। एक स्वस्थ राष्ट्र ही खुशहाल राष्ट्र होता है। क्या हम वहां तक पहुंचे या नहीं, ये चिंता प्रकट की हुई है उन्होंने। Thank you, Minister ji. Now I request the Proposition Minister for Finance to deliver a speech.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, in 2014, only 40% of the Indians had bank accounts. On 28 August 2014, we launched the Jan Dhan Yojana, due to which any individual above 18 years of age could open a bank account. As of April 2022, all the Indian banks have a liquidity of 1.7 trillion INR, and this is only of the Jan Dhan accounts. Previously, no tax system proved to be effective for India. There was a transformative tax structure suggested, but our previous government could never gather the political will to implement it. Madam,
Have some modest behavior in the house.
official RBI data states that over the last 5 years, both direct and indirect revenues from state and central governments have witnessed an unrealistic spike. When COVID turned up, we thought our economy had come to a standstill as 12.2 crore people lost their jobs. And we thought this was a major setback for the nation. But at this time, we brought in 1.70 lakh crores for distribution under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Later on, we brought in 20 lakh crores more from various places. Later, we got in 6.29 lakh crore package. And this was the final nail in the coffin of the economic stress of India.
Opposition Minister for Commerce, kindly maintain silence.
Honorable member of the opposition said about where one should find Pappu, who's Pappu, and so on. If only honorable member looks back in her own backyard, will she find Pappu? Ma'am,
आप शांत रहो, आपको बोलने का मौका दिया था, उनको बोलने दो।
so there is no doubt where there are wonderful schemes that can benefit common people, your Pappu sits over it, doesn't distribute it.
आप बैठ जाओ, please be seated. Follow some noble behavior.
You don't need to search anywhere else for Pappu. But even worse, ma'am, is this point. माचिस किसके हाथ में है? It's a matter of concern, ma'am, because माचिस किसने दिया is not the issue. क्योंकि democracy, people elect the leader. We cannot undermine people by saying किसने दिया हाथ में माचिस? जनता ने दिया, ma'am, जनता ने दिया. बट किसके हाथ में माचिस कैसे उपयोग आता है, वही है इम्पोर्टेंट मैडम। जब हमारे हाथ में माचिस आया, हमने उजाला दिया, हमने पीएम किसान दिया, हमने स्वच्छ भारत अभियान चलाया। जब आपके हाथ में आया माचिस, तो आपने क्या किया? तो आप बोलो, पप्पू कौन हुआ?
माचिस किसके हाथ में है और कैसे उपयोग होता है, ये स्पष्ट कर दिया हमारे प्रोपोजिशन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने। अब हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। So now I request the Honorable Opposition Minister of Finance to deliver his speech.
In 1980, the Indian economy and the Chinese economy were quite at par with each other. Today, the Indian economy is just 17% of that of China's. The ruling government has undertaken some financial policies which have proven to be disastrous for our country's economy. Corruption. In India, there is a rule formed that an enterprise with no prior experience in the airport business will not be allowed to acquire airports. This rule was changed by the ruling government in the favor of a very high-profile businessman. GVK ने दिल्ली एयरपोर्ट अडानी के नाम ऐसे ही कर दिया। GVK ने दिल्ली एयरपोर्ट अडानी के नाम ऐसे ही कर दिया। GVK ने मुंबई एयरपोर्ट की अडानी के नाम ऐसे ही कर दिया। अडानी 6 के 6 एयरपोर्ट बिल्डिंग में ऐसे ही जीत गया। इसमें कोई गहरी साजिश है। मंत्री व्यापारी भाई भाई, मंत्री व्यापारी भाई भाई।
Please maintain some decorum in the house.
On November 8, 2016, the ruling government decided to demonetize all the 500 and 1000 rupee notes. There was excitement all round. मंत्री जी ने कर दिया। मंत्री जी ने देश में से काला धन समाप्त कर दिया। In 30 days, demonetization was one of the greatest failures in the history of any democratic nation. It caused a loss of $5.5 trillion to our economy.
आप शांत रहो, उनको बोलने दो। Continue.
Last year, in the union budget allocation, our respectable finance minister
आप अपना speech दीजिए।
Our respectable finance minister promised the creation of 6 million jobs. In July 2023, the unemployment rate was at 7.95%, with more than 2 million graduates unemployed in India.
Please follow the modest behavior. आप थोड़ा शांत होकर बात कीजिए।
In August 2023, inflation was at its 15 months high in India, because of which crores of Indians like you and me are suffering today. The failure of the government and the Central Bank of India to curb inflation in the country proves the sheer incompetence of the finance ministry.
आप शांत हो जाए, आप बाद में बात कर सकते हैं, पहले उनको बोल लें।
और आज मैं आपसे पूछता हूं, हमारे देश में हो क्या रहा है? हमारा प्यारा शहर मणिपुर हमारी आंखों के सामने चल रहा है। मंत्री जी ने मणिपुर की हत्या की है।
आप शांत रहो, आप कंक्लूड करो जल्दी।
मंत्री जी ने मणिपुर में भारत माता की हत्या की है। मंत्री जी ने मेरी मां की हत्या की है और मैं मेरी मां की हत्या होने नहीं दूंगा, नहीं दूंगा, नहीं दूंगा।
आप बैठ जाइए, धन्यवाद। आप शांत हो जाओ, शांत हो जाओ। Members of the House, kindly maintain silence. क्या काला धन समाप्त हुआ? कौन किसके फायदे में है, ये चिंता कर दिखाई ऑनरेबल ऑपोजिशन मिनिस्टर फॉर फाइनेंस। हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। And now I request the proposition minister for commerce to deliver his speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to talk. Unless you have power, our domestic investors, our domestic industry, and our domestic confidence, no foreign investor is going to come to India. In the year 2014, Make in India was our main mission. And as of today, we have enhanced skill development fostered innovation, and greatly advanced the foreign direct investment in our country.
Opposition Minister for Commerce, I expect modest behavior from you. Kindly be seated.
We have developed the best manufacturing capabilities. India today has 108 unicorns with a total valuation of more than $341 billion. That's with a B. Our GDP is up 7.4% on a yearly basis. PLI schemes. Production-linked incentives was introduced by my ministry. This sought to bring manufacturing to the center stage and emphasize the significance on jobs and creation of jobs and keeping those jobs in for Indian people. The free trade agreements. My ministry led the negotiation of the fastest ever global free trade agreement with the United Arab Emirates. We also led the signing of the Indian Economic Free Trade Agreement with Australia. This was India's first free trade agreement in over 10 years. Under my ministry, the government has successfully reached the exports of $675 billion in the year 21-22. As we all know, UPI, or United Payments Interface, is a very successful government-launched initiative which is helping small business and industry facilitate payments instantly.
And UPI still fails to this day.
Member of the opposition, we expect modest behavior from you. Please sit. Continue.
Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana was wildly successful too. We provided 80 crore free food grains to our impoverished brothers and sisters over 2 years. These were the sections of society which were most affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Perform, reform, and transform. By the year 2028, India will be in the top 3 economies of the world. And this is the trust given to us by our people. We will not break our people's trust. Jai Hind.
Dhanyavad, Minister for Commerce. Perform, reform, transform. Make in India, आगे बढ़े इंडिया. ये सोच लेके अपने मिनिस्ट्री का कार्य हमारे सामने रखते हुए ये थे हमारे proposition Minister for Commerce. Now I request the opposition Minister for Commerce to deliver his speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand before the House opposing the integrity of the ruling party and its commerce policies and actions under this ministry. As we speak in this House today, over 1,000 farmers in the biggest mandis in Maharashtra are protesting against a new bill passed by this ruling party. Just a few days ago, this government has gone back to its anti-farmer ways, imposing a 40% duty tax on export of onions on the premise of domestic availability. Consequently, the prices of onions in the market have skyrocketed. The question I ask to this government: why would a government want to deprive its farmers and citizens of essential commodities? Speaker, a few years ago, let me remind you once again that this ministry, once again, these farmers who make up 45% of India's occupational structure were again faced by anti-farmer laws. This time aiming to sell the farmers to big foreign companies. The government claimed that this new law,
Opposition Minister, don't resort to theatrics and dramatics.
Madam Speaker, no theatrics, this is the facts.
आप noble behavior रख के संभाल के अपना speech कर सकते हैं.
This government claimed to enhance growth through these laws. Growth I ask. Growth of poverty, growth of inflation, growth of anxiety among these farmers.
आप शांत हो जाइए.
It took 2 years for the farmers to protest and get these bills repealed. These twofold motive bills chalega nahi. Nahi chalega.
Please maintain a noble behavior. You are resorting to behavior that is not noble. This is a sacred place.
Speaker, madam, let me have my time. Moving on, in 2022,
e-commerce accounted for nearly 19% of retail sales worldwide. And by 2027, we expect this to be a quarter. We cannot ignore the importance of the e-commerce sector in the modern day and age. And this current ministry is doing nothing to keep up with the e-commerce sector. I'll explain how. Firstly, the existing FDI policies attempt to promote a fair and competitive e-marketplace with its anti-competitive practices. However, these measures only apply to ones from foreign areas. How fair is that? Moreover, India is currently facing a 27% drop in FDI. As stated by RBI. The lethargy and incompetence of the ruling party is costing our country crores of rupees. Every year, we lose over 1 lakh crore a year owing to the sale and purchase of copyrighted goods because this ministry has outdated copyright laws, outdated cyber laws such as the IIT bill, and this new Data Protection Act is nothing but vague and dubious. Against you, the madam, I highlight the failures of this ruling party in the commerce industry. As I come to my conclusion, I ask, how can a government that fails to meet its own goals make promises to the citizens? This ruling party promised a GDP of $5 million. 15 seconds, madam, more. 15 seconds. 15 seconds more. The IMF has to reduce your GDP forecast for the second time because the growth of the economy has become sluggish and below expectations. What is a government that can't meet its own goals? What are you doing? Either this ministry lied to its people or is incompetent to do its job. But India is definitely in an economic crisis under this ministry. The proposition tells you about Make in India. This is nothing but protectionism. This nationalism, populism, chalega nahi.
Thank you. धन्यवाद. With this, we have finished with the first round of our debates. Now we move on to the second round. It is the rebuttal round. So now I request the proposition team to propose one question to the opposition.
My worthy opposition, you have accused us of being corrupt and incompetent. But I ask you, what have you done to improve the lives of the people of your ruling states? Even though you talk about all this, your party has been in power for so many years, several states, and still people are suffering in states like West Bengal and Delhi. People still live in poverty, they are still struggling to get jobs, and they still didn't get the proper education and healthcare that they need. So what have you done to change this?
My worthy proposition, I ask you to check your research again. Because in our state, under our ruling, the health sector has been completely overhauled with much more better public services in terms of health and more widespread range of health to all levels of society. Secondly, we have more hospitals as well. Secondly, we have successfully eradicated all forms of communal disharmony in these states. Our plan, you ask? Our plan is to implement all the bills that this ministry did not. Our plan is to implement bills to get more foreign direct investments into the state. Control on inflation, a control that you all lacked. Hiring better economists will do all of this for us. That is our plan.
Thank you. Dhanyavad, Honorable Opposition Minister for Commerce, for answering your question. Now we request the opposition to propose your question to the proposition team.
As a worthy parliamentarian mentioned in her speech that she has fought against corruption in the country, then why has the government been associated with the illegal mining scam involving 50,000 crores, Vyapam scam involving 2,000 crores, and the RTO scam involving 3,000 crores.
Now you may answer.
I understand that the opposition is trying to paint our government as corrupt. They are pointing at the illegal mining scam, the Vyapam scam, and the RTO scam as evidence for our corruption. However, I would like to point out that these scams have all been investigated by the authorities. The government is committed to rooting out corruption, and we will not tolerate it. In the case of the illegal mining scam, the government has appointed the CBI to investigate. And I'm sure, as we all know, the CBI is very credible and independent. And we are confident that they will get to the bottom of this. The RTO scam is currently being investigated by the state government, and we are confident that the people responsible will be put into punishment. I would also like to point out that the government has taken a number of steps to fight this corruption. We have set up anti-corruption agencies, and we have passed laws to make it more difficult for corrupt officials to get away with it. We are committed to fighting corruption, and we will not rest until we have created a corruption-free India. Madam Speaker, I think it is pretty evident to all of us here that our worthy opponents are trying to frame us for lying about our corruption-free country. And I have to say that to reach somewhere in India, you have to believe. If we are not there yet, we will get there. If we are not there yet, we will get there. And we will work hard until we get there. But at this very moment, we are walking the path of a corruption-free India. And when we reach a stage that is corruption-free enough for you, I will come back to you and remind you exactly why we are the ruling government. Thank you.
धन्यवाद proposition की Women और Child Development Minister जी. Now we move to the third round, that is the audience round. The audience will have a chance now to ask a question to the proposition. So the floor is open for the audience to ask a question. A question to the proposition team. The proposition.
My question to the proposition is this. The health minister spoke about the benefits of Indian doctors working abroad. How are you overlooking the huge draining out of medical professionals from the country because your government doesn't treat them as they deserve? The highest number of migrant doctors in England's NHS are Indian nationals that will never return. Can you still justify the fact that losing Indian doctors to other countries is beneficial to India, and how? Thank you.
Will you respond to the question?
The medical workers that we spoke about have not migrated to other countries. They have Indian citizenships and they work in other countries for the betterments of their families in our country. This not only increases the forex of our country, but it also puts India in a good light on a global stage. Further, it is a testament to the quality of education that one can receive here in India in nursing and medicine, that the world wants doctors from India. Thank you.
Thank you. We now invite the member from the audience to ask the question to the opposition.
My question is to the opposition. You have said that the ruling government has not done enough to improve the GDP and healthcare. But I ask you, what did your government do to improve these things? When you were in power, the GDP was stagnant and the healthcare was in shambles. Thank you.
You may respond to the question.
Thank you for asking that question. So as you mentioned, that our government has done nothing about the GDP and the healthcare industry in India. And that is absolutely not true. Just as a matter of fact, the average GDP growth rate from 2014 to 2022 was at 10.8%, while from 2004 to 2014 it was at 15%. In 1991, there was a severe economic crisis in India. That's when Mr. Manmohan Singh was elected as the finance minister. India did not have the resources to sustain its economy even for a matter of 15 days. It was then Mr. Manmohan Singh, our beloved finance minister, brought about reforms like privatization, liberalization, modernization. That I'm sure is taught in the economic syllabus today. And talking about healthcare, I'm sure the ruling government hasn't done anything significant either. I know everyone over here, everyone present over here remembers the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Relatives of all their loved ones were scrambling about for healthcare facilities, ventilators, hospital beds. A survey conducted in 2022 proves that there are only 8 physicians for a population of 10,000 in India. There's only one doctor for 1,456 patients in India. And you ask me our action or plan? I will make sure that we bring the best economists from the world into a finance department to make India a superpower. We will eradicate corruption from the country. And talking about healthcare facilities, we will make sure healthcare infrastructure in India is improved and we have doctors for the required patients. Thank you.
Thank you. We conclude our third round, audience round, and now we move forward to the last round, which is the judges round. The judges are requested to ask one question to the proposition and one question to the opposition.
Okay, I have broadly, I'll ask one question, narrative wise, okay. I'm taking this, making a sense of all the speeches of this side first, okay. So, first of all, in terms of the case that you were, the case that you were making, that India is on a march, right? So, we are getting into this new kind of an era where the world is looking towards India, or what we call as an Amrit Kal or a Vishwa Guru, right? So this was, I was making a sense out of it, okay? You spoke about the investments, okay, getting FDIs, talking about the space programs, okay, your UPIs and all these innovations that what you're doing. I have a 2 pointed questions to you. Is one, how you define the growing economy? Is that whatever I heard was about the volume of an economy, that we want to be a $5 trillion economy? It's absolutely fine. We were a $1 trillion economy, we are $3 trillion economy now. As the population grows, like I was having a Nokia 3315, okay, were on the first phone. Now I go with an Android. It's a growth, and growth cannot be development always, okay. So my first question is that how you define the growth of India qualitatively is that GDP wise, we are growing. We may be a $5 trillion economy, but at the same time, there are serious job losses. Post-COVID pandemic, India has lost more than 70 lakh salaried jobs. And salaried jobs. They are not doing this pagodas and all those things, okay? Salaried jobs, white collar people who go to the office every day. They have lost their jobs. But the point is that at a certain time, India is also growing in terms of its volume. It's because people spend money. So how do you define this kind of a contradiction? And what is the way forward? Secondly, you talk about FDIs and liquidation of assets. Like this team made a serious charge that you give some things to your own friends. But the point is that when you talk about airports, ports, these are the infrastructure built by the money of a public exchequer. So what you are doing is that lending out to the private players, and the entire aspect of entire purpose of a capitalist democracy or a capitalist economy, if you take that reference in the United States, is to build wealth. Okay? You have a very few examples in India where the capitalists have built wealth, like your Jamshedpur, Tata's, IT parks, and that's it. But the kind of model that you have been adopting in terms of and branding it as some sort of a development and a progress is that giving away this public assets to a private firms or an individuals. So I have this question to you is that how you put economic in perspective in 21st century. That's it.
Kindly answer the question. I request the House to kindly maintain silence. Please answer the question.
Chair. So I would like to answer your first question, first about the unemployment. You said unemployment, how many salaried people lost their job, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, it happened on a global scale, and everyone knows it. Yet, India prevailed. We were not in such a horrible state. If you compare India to USA in the second wave, you compare UK to the second wave, we still prevail. And then when it comes to our GDP, in the very first quarter of this very financial year, we have grown up to 7.1% compared to the closest to India is China with mere 4.3, and then as best competitor till today we have been head to head USA is a mere 3%, while UK is gone to negative 1.1%. So all of this, and when you say quantitatively, that is on a personal level. You can develop and everything will develop together. So this is my answer to the first half of the question.
Thank you. We move to the next question. Okay, please answer. Please answer.
If I could just build on what my colleague has said. When we talk about economic downturn, it is not only limited to India, I agree, but also the past couple of years we've kind of been down everywhere. And we're slowly coming out of that swell. We can see that a lot of IT job layoffs have happened, but I feel at some stage that was necessary so people could upscale themselves, reskill themselves, and join the workforce even better. Recently, only companies like Zomato have become profitable, and that is a positive sign. People, when they lose their job, they reskill, they rethink, they reskill themselves, upgrade their professional qualities, And then when they join the workforce, they provide a better, I would say, they provide more advantage to the company to then take on the global companies.
Thank you, members of the proposition party. Now we request the judges to ask a question to the opposition team.
A very good afternoon to the opposition and the proposition team, but my question is specifically to the opposition. You all have very brilliantly spoken and highlighted various issues and contemporary issues pertaining to all the arenas that are affecting the general public. But somebody from the background of law, and I teach crimes, I just want to be more articulate and question on the current state of criminal affairs in the state. With a lot of accidents that are happening, with a lot of violence that is rising against women and children, it is disheartening to see that the law, which was amended in 2013 and then again in 2018, is not showing its complete effectiveness. Now, nonetheless, we always blame the ruling party for not having stronger police, not having stronger enforcement agencies, and also for judiciary for not giving justice on time. So my question to you here is, what role will the opposition play in bringing about faster and effective implementation of criminal laws, and how will they improve the current situation of that is escalating, the crime that is escalating in the state of Goa?
Please answer. Members of the opposition, kindly answer the question. Kindly answer the question.
Thank you so much for that question. And we do agree with you that we credit the rise in crime to the lack of police enforcement and the judiciary as a whole, slack. And what we do different is, if we were the ruling party, first of all, we can't just say by increasing police enforcement. For example, the recent bills that were passed, two of them apart from the Data Protection Act were related to crime. And the reason these bills were not accepted by some, the reason these bills were the subject to critics, were because they were vague, and they gave scope for the government to twist, and especially in a subject like law, where terminology is very critical and one word could be interpreted in different ways. The way they've structured and formed the articles in these new bills, that is what we'd like to change, going down to the detail at that level, because we want to be absolutely transparent. And so at this level, we need to make sure that these are very objective rules and not like the recent ones passed. And the whole point of an opposition is to question the ruling. And that is what makes it a democracy. Democracy wouldn't be anything without an opposition, because there'd be nobody to question the ruling party. And so what we do is we question the judiciary and keep them on their toes by making sure that they're always up to date and being faster in delivering justice. And my colleague here wants to address the latter half of the question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for asking that question. Talking about crimes against women that are happening in the country today, it is really unfortunate that it is happening. Just as a matter of fact, I read in the news a couple of days ago that a man who had raped a woman was released out of jail for good behavior, on the terms of good behavior, and he raped another woman 7 years later. First of all, I asked the government, why was that man released when he was released from the jail? Why was he released? a person who has committed crimes against women should be severely punished. There should be laws made against crimes against women. Talking about autocracies like Singapore, China, people have been killed for crimes against women. We need to make sure that we have structured our laws against women harassment so that cases against women harassment reduce in India. Thank you.
Opposition Minister, thank you very much. We are coming to the end of the session.
Madam Speaker, point of order.
Yes.
Page 92 on the rule book, Rule 267 says that no other business can be discussed before we first discuss Rule 267. We want a discussion on Manipur. We want a discussion on Manipur, and the opposition cannot keep quiet. The opposition needs to open their mouth. We want a discussion on Manipur. Manipur. We want a discussion. Madam Speaker, we need a discussion on Manipur. Madam Speaker, I am raising a point of order, and we need a discussion on Manipur. Point 267. We cannot discuss anything else.
We will be a matter of ridicule outside. You cannot just create your dramatics here.
Madam Speaker, this is no dramatics. This is asking for the facts. We need a discussion. The opposition cannot keep keeping.
Can't you maintain decorum of the house? You are doing this as a part of your strategy. Have you forgotten your oath? You write suddenly.
Speaker, I move the motion for the dismissal of the opposition member of Commerce. He has single-handedly ruined the record of this House and caused disturbances and delays in the proceeding of this House.
Madam Speaker, opposition, don't put all your menace in creating a disorder of this House. You need to have a noble behavior. But since you have been behaving very badly, leave the House immediately. You need to This should be taken out. Dear members, we started this session having noble expectations. In the modern age, our voters can view the live telecast of all our proceedings. The live streaming strengthens relationships of people's representatives with the public, but also puts additional responsibility on people's representatives. We should continue to set good examples of articulating and translating the hopes and aspirations of the people. Let us be more responsible and be true devotees of our nation at this time of Amrit Kal, and not make our sacred place and our position of dignity as subject matter of ridicule outside. As we conclude our session, kindly rise for the national anthem.
Students, kindly be seated in silence. Requesting students to kindly be seated in silence.
Congratulations to the
team who put up this parliamentary debate. It was really exhilarating, as the introduction stated. It kept us awake all the time. Even the last minute was exhilarating, right? This was a great imitation of the parliament and its proceedings. But not exactly. Parliament is still worse. This was very fair and well done. But nowadays, Parliament is not that exemplary if you look at the debates that go on. Just a couple of learnings to take from here. There is a proposition, there is opposition, there is a speaker who was sitting here. Now, in this kind of place, we know that all are important. The proposition people, elected people are important there. The oppositions also play a great role. The speaker has a very important role to play. Now, the speaker, until the last minute, was unbiased to everyone. Very fair to all. But I thought the last point was too abrupt to take that person away, the opposition. It was not required. I thought it was calm as was moving. It wasn't that aggressive so much. But this happens. When there is a biased person sitting at the speaker's place, you don't know where the motion will move, where the debate will swing. Towards opposition, towards proposition. It could be anywhere. Even if the proposition was right, it could go to the opposition because somebody is biased who is sitting there. So, the choice of the people in the parliament is very, very important. You have seen that they need to discuss. They need to discuss about issues. Issues that will affect you and me. Even your education comes from the parliament. They make rules and we follow them. So, in that sense, if you elect somebody who is not efficient, intelligent, unbiased, you will not get good policies and execution as well. We also need the main Prime Minister to be there in the Parliament all the time. Why? It is because the arguments for and against happen here and the person has to judge well what to do, what not to do. Why we shouldn't be taking up this proposal, why should we be taking up the another. Sometimes or many times opposition will help you do a better job in policies and in execution by pointing out what is right and what is wrong. We have to take those points positively. It is just not an argument and counter argument just for the sake of having arguments. It is because finally whatever is executed or policy made, whatever policies are made there, affect us, our life at every stage from child till we die. It will affect every sector of our life. So we are all involved in it. If we allow anybody to go there and sit in the parliament without speaking a word, we are sending people who are not effective. We need to choose well our candidates. Very, very important. Now all of you are going to vote after 1 or 2 years and you have a chance to elect somebody whom you think will be suited for this kind of a post. Intelligent, able to understand issues well, unbiased, taking everyone forward. That's how the country grows. That's how our growth will happen. That's how the other countries too will see India is great, Goa is great, because they have great parliamentarians. If you have good people in the parliament, you will get good policies and you will see growth of a nation. Once again, congratulations to the staff and the students who presented the parliamentary affairs here. Thank you to the judges also. God bless you.
For his guidance and his motivating words. I would like to specially thank our distinguished judges for their valuable insights and ideas. A thank you to our principal, Reverend Father Bahadur Cardozo, for his constant motivation and support. We appreciate.
Please clap after the vote of thanks. This is a request.
We appreciate the hard work of the organizing committee teachers and supporting staff who ensured the smooth running of this event. Lastly, a big congratulations to all the participants for their exceptional efforts in showcasing their debating skills. Your dedication has made this event memorable. Thank you.